Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, the President pays surprise visit to Maiduguri, Borno State, assures displaced persons that areas under insurgency will soon be recaptured. It's Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Nigeria honors the nation's veterans and fallen heroes. Federal government says it's set to release over 1 million prepaid meters for electricity consumers in the country. And 2 people have been killed in Belgium anti-terror operation. On business news, the Minister of Finance allays fears of business communities, says federal government is poised to overcome current economic challenges.
While in sports news, lack of hotel accommodation forces teams arriving for the Africa Cup of Nations in Equatorial Guinea to search for spare rooms.
The President today took a bold step by visiting Maiduguri, the troubled capital of Borno State, northeast Nigeria. The visit is coming on the occasion of Nigeria's Armed Forces Remembrance Day, with President Goodluck Jonathan meeting with officers and men of the armed forces currently in the front line of the war against terrorism in the country. Accompanied by the Chief of Defense Staff, service chiefs, the National Security Advisor, and the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, President Jonathan visited officers and men of the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army at the cantonment in Maiduguri. He thanked them for their patriotic and courageous service to the nation and told them that the nation was very proud of them and grateful for their dedication and commitment to the defense of the civil population. He assured the troops that the federal government will continue to do everything possible to ensure that they get all they need to overcome the insurgents and restore full security and normalcy to the affected parts of the country. President Jonathan also toured wards of the 7th Division Hospital and Medical Services Center, where he met with soldiers recovering from injuries sustained in operations against Boko Haram. Before leaving the Borno State capital, President Jonathan visited over 900 displaced persons from Baga at a camp in the city.
Mr. President visited the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army at the Mamalare cantonment along Baga Road in Maiduguri. And there he was received by the officers and the soldiers. He was accompanied by service chiefs, the National Security Advisor, and the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. At the occasion, he addressed the troops. He commended them for their patriotism, for their commitment, for their sense of duty, for their service to their fatherland. And he reassured Nigerians are appreciative of their effort and of their contributions to ensuring peace in the northeastern part of the country. And thereafter, President Jonathan visited the 7th Division Medical Services Center and Hospital, where he visited the sick, the injured officers who were receiving treatment at that medical services center. And, he visited them and, tried to encourage them. He went from one ward to the other. Thereafter, President Jonathan left the Memalare cantonment for an internal displaced persons camp. This was the Teachers Village camp at a place called Pumpulari, also in Maiduguri. There, the persons who have been displaced from Baga, about 900 of them or more, were waiting to receive Mr. President. And he addressed them. He assured them of government's commitment to putting an end to the war against terror, and also assured them, consoled them, those who have lost their loved ones. And he said that he feels particularly, traumatized anytime he hears that people have been displaced, and that he would like to assure them that all Nigerians are, in support and in solidarity to ensure that, their plight is addressed. He told them that
the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity there, Dr. Ruben Abati. Meanwhile, the 4 countries most threatened by the Boko Haram insurgency have been asked to put aside mutual distrust and agree on a command structure and strategy if they want to defeat the militants. The UN Special Representative for West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, told Reuters that the international community can only help Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon once the countries clearly lay out the assets needed to fight Boko Haram. The insurgents recently dealt a major blow to the multinational task force put together by the 4 nations when they attacked Baga near the Chadian border and seized the military facility set up as a base to fight it. The fall of Baga has led to increased calls for international support to halt the militant group, whose destructive activities have spread from northern Nigeria to parts of Niger, Cameroon and Chad. Well, the President may have done a personal assessment of the situation in Maiduguri, but satellite images released by Amnesty International tell a different story of the extent of damage in other towns outside Maiduguri. Amnesty International has released what it says is indisputable and shocking evidence of the scale of the last week's attack on 2 neighboring towns, Baga and Dorogowan in Borno State, by Boko Haram militants. The images show some 3,700 structures damaged or destroyed, and other nearby towns and villages also attacked. Amnesty also cited witnesses saying that militants had killed indiscriminately and that the damage was catastrophic. However, the Nigerian army has disputed reports that as many as 2,000 people were killed, putting the death toll at 150. The satellite images were taken between January the 2nd and the 7th, with the human rights group saying the attack was the largest and deadliest Boko Haram assault it has analyzed so far. Now, before the President's visit that we spoke about, he performed the wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier as part of this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. President Goodluck Jonathan led top government officials in Abuja to honor the soldiers as well as the families of the departed. After the ceremony, the Senate President, David Mark, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, told journalists that the protection of Nigeria's territorial integrity is the government's priority. Our State House correspondent, Chukwuma Onekuse, reports.
A significant milestone in the annals for great nation Nigeria.
The national troop on their horses sandwiched the presidential limo, heralding the arrival of the grand patron of the Nigerian Legion, President Goodluck Jonathan, into the National Arcade. He was accompanied by the commander of the Guards Brigade for the inspection of the National Guard of Honor on parade. That done, the President and other special guests made a solemn movement straight to the tomb of the unknown soldier, where they waited for the beagle. There were prayers offered in Christian and Islamic format for the repose of the souls of the departed and peace and unity of the country. Prayers followed by a minute silence in honor of the fallen heroes. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan led the presidential wreath. Vice President Namade Sambo followed. Next is Senator David Mark. Then the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Chief Justice of the Federation, the Defense Minister took his turn to lay the wreath, among others. Then the firing party, the release of the birds of pigeons, and the balloons signifying the unfettered peace in the country despite terror attacks. The ceremony was concluded with the signing of the anniversary register by the President. While the Chief of Defense Staff expressed his confidence in the Nigerian Army, the Senate President said the challenges of this time will be overcome.
Whether it is insurrection as happening now or external aggression, will continue to work. And of course, we can't run our battle on the pages of newspaper. That's why we are reluctant in talking.
I think we have a very strong, solid, well-trained armed forces. The challenges that they face now is just a matter of time. They'll be over it.
It has been described as a milestone in the annals of the history of the country. The prayer from here as they depart is that God will not only grant the souls of the departed eternal repose, but will also protect those who are in the war front right now trying to contain insurgency in the land. Chukuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, Lagos governorship candidates roll out agenda for the citizens. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.